With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? Speaking of recent Kevin Feige comments and Miles Morales, Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff, one of the big interesting things, some people excited when Disney Plus was coming out, was people, for some reason, really looking forward to a really tied, interconnected television universe and movie universe. Because, of course, while they would drop these vague hints of the incident in New York, Daredevil and Punisher and Jessica Jones were all very distinctly separate from the MCU. While there was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would make references to the MCU and Kevin Feige always kept that completely hands off. And Kevin Feige recently confirmed it was never part of our real thing. Even though Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would bring on guest stars from the MCU, Kevin Feige said, I had nothing to do with that. We are never acknowledging that. And even with WandaVision, even showing that the Darkhold was a completely different thing, all that kind of stuff. But when Disney Plus came out, that's when people thought, now we're going to get this fully integrated. And sure enough, they started that way. We've been hearing some comments recently that have been suggesting that Marvel and Kevin Feige were going to create more and more space between the television world that Marvel is doing on Disney Plus and the movie world. And now we've had Kevin Feige say the most definitive thing about that yet. This comes to us from Variety, who wrote this. While Marvel's feature output is slowing down to at most 3 films a year, a pace the MCU first reached in 2017, its TV output is cooling off even more, with just a single live action show per year. And the shows they do make will have far less overlap with the feature films, to disabuse audiences from the expectation that they have to watch everything to follow what's happening on any MCU project, something I've been saying for years Marvel has to be very, very careful of. By way of example, Feige cited the Marvel TV shows of the 2010s, like Daredevil and Jessica Jones on Netflix, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter on ABC, which were produced by separate, now defunct division of Marvel Entertainment, so they had a tenuous connection to the MCU, if at all. Then Feige says, I think allowing a TV show to be a TV show is what we're returning to, he said. Asked if the events at the end of Thunderbolts, when most of the population of Manhattan was enveloped in an inky black shroud of depressive nothingness, would affect season 2 of the New York City-based Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again, Feige simply said no. At the same time, the lines between film and TV is not ironclad. For example, John Bernthal will play Daredevil, his Daredevil Born Again character, the Punisher, in both an upcoming TV special and opposite Tom Holland 2026 Spider-Man Brand New Day. Okay. So my takeaway from this is Kevin Feige is basically confirming what we've been kind of hearing the rumblings on. They want to separate now the Disney Plus TV stuff from the movie cinematic universe stuff. They are drastically reducing. Now, this year, we're still getting 2 because we had Ironheart and we've got Wonder Man. I believe Wonder Man's still coming out this year, I think. Coming. I'm getting more excited about that one. Anyway. And they're going to reduce it down to 1. And they're going to really have them be self-contained stories. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a character crossover from it. I just don't think when we see Frank Punisher in the next Spider-Man movie, that he's going to be carrying narrative threads from Daredevil.
No, right.
In
100%.
Him, right? We're also going to talk about Mephisto in a minute. They've got bigger plans for Mephisto. They just introduced him in a TV series as well. Rob, going back to the days of the Arrowverse, I have held the unpopular belief, and I still do, that the best way to handle this is to keep them church and state. Keep television separate from the movies. Because you are taking away creative freedom from the television showrunners, because everything they do now has to fall in line with what's happening with the movies. And I loved, especially the first few years of the Arrowverse, that it was completely separate from what was going on in the DCEU. They could tell their own stories with their own tone and have their characters do whatever they want them to do and not be beholden to the movies. Because you run into problems like what they had with the Marvels, where it's like, wait a minute, these are all TV show characters. And watching the trailers makes me believe I need to watch those shows in order to be able to understand what's going on. And Kevin Feige is now completely aware that that's become a problem. So,
guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. You know, it feels like workplace stress is higher than ever these days. And I was just reading that about 61% of the global workforce is dealing with above normal levels of stress. And honestly, it's not surprising. When you're stuck in endless Zoom meetings, juggling deadlines, or just trying to keep your head above water, it adds up. Now, sure, a quick vacation sounds nice, but let's be real. It's not a long-term fix. What's helped me is building small wellness habits. For me, it's things like getting outside in the sun for a few minutes or squeezing in a brisk walk during breaks. But for a lot of people, sometimes that's just not enough, and that's where therapy can really help. BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform with over 30,000 therapists who've already helped over 5 million people worldwide. Their app is super convenient. You can meet with a therapist with just a click, and if it's not the right fit, you can switch therapists anytime. And just listen to the user reviews. The BetterHelp app has a 4.9 out of 5 from over 1.7 million reviews. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Campea. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Campea.
I got to tell you, Rob, I like the idea of them keeping it separate, but maybe not so strictly that you can't have the occasional overlap like Punisher coming into the next Spider-Man movie. Anyway, how do you interpret what Kevin Feige's been saying here? And is this the right move for them right now?
Well, I think it's absolutely the right move. I mean, also, if you're not going to put the time and creative effort into the TV shows that you're putting into the movies, like I go back to Secret Invasion. You know, Secret Invasion would have affected the entire MCU. Literally a Skrull invasion. People are being replaced. Nick Fury's in the mix. And that turned into just a sludge of a show. And yet that would have been the most important thing going on Earth. And it would have affected the entire Marvel universe. But the show was so lame that you're looking at it going, okay, well, you've just diminished both your TV show and the MCU at large because the ramifications are not even, it hasn't even been mentioned again. Ever. I don't expect it ever will. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Don't ever mention shh.
Never say anything. And then the TVA, which I think is a bridge too far, the TVA is now permeated. I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine, and now the TVA is probably going to play a big part in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I mean, I think the TVA is this parody weird. It's like Terry Gilliam's Brazil was inserted into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think what Kevin Feige.
Just real quick, like it made sense when Kang was the problem, but what they did was they surgically removed Kang, but they still have the scar of the TVA. It's like
and they have to deal with this weird. That's a parody of Office Space and all. It's just a weird thing. It's fine. I won't complain. But I think the idea of like comic. He
says after 2 minutes of complaining.
I know. In comic books, don't get me started. I could be talking about Star Trek.
That's true.
The thing though is in comic books, when a character would cross over, you could do like a limited series where Wolverine would team up with somebody else.
Yeah.
And it would be a great story. And it's in real life, you know, you might go out with a friend of yours, but the friend of yours that you went out with, people don't always ask you, hey, how come you're not with that guy all the time?
Right. Yeah.
You know, that's how life works. And this idea that superheroes, that everything that happens in one of their stories has to affect everything else that goes on in the Marvel Universe has always seemed odd to me. That's why I loved the Werewolf by Night one-off.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah, or the Guardians Holiday Special.
Yep.
You know, that was just a self-contained story that you can tell. And getting back to that idea, which, by the way, is the comic book way to do things. You know, you can have crossovers. You can reference them if you want or not. You know, that's what life is. So to have Punisher being in Spider-Man is just putting two characters that have a long comic history together, and you have them come in.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't talk about you don't talk about with one friend what you did with all your other friends a month ago.
Right.
You know, so it makes sense that the Punisher and Spider-Man cross paths. And Punisher's not going to sit there and go, let me tell you about the time Matt Murdock and I were at Loggerheads.
Right.
You know, I mean, nobody does that. And everybody will accept that as truth. So I think this is a great way to proceed. And having less shows mean they're going to think them through.
Right.
You know, you're not going to get a lot of things that aren't. This is why I think this new philosophy. Now, I don't know anything about this show. I haven't talked to Terry about what's going on, but I think the Vision show is the first show that's being made with this new philosophy in mind. I think it's
Right.
going to be a prestige show. I think having Terry's pedigree in science fiction and Star Trek, the fact that you are, see, I got it mentioned, with the Vision and artificial life and what does it mean and who is Vision and can he love a human? What is that? I think it's going to be a great show
Yeah.
because the people that are writing it have thought a lot about this and they have a great science fiction background. So I think I'm looking to that Vision series to be the first example of this new Marvel, because even Wonder Man was made back in the day.
Yeah,
So-
they made that a while ago.
And Vision has been made this year. So I'm really looking forward to that and seeing where it goes, just because I also love Vision.
And if you look at the mathematical equation between quantity and quality, in production, the more you increase quantity, your quality will drop.
Right.
Because Rob, if they're putting out 3 MCU shows a year on Disney Plus, which was what Bob Chapek mandated them to do, that means you take your best show that you got in development, and then the other 2 shows that you would have said, we're not making those shows, they're not good enough, and going, oh, we're mandated to put out 3? Well, let's make those other 2 ones now too. Instead of just the best one you had going,
Yeah.
now you got to put out the one you weren't going to do and the one that lost out to that one. And so hopefully this will elevate, because listen, Disney Plus has had some good Marvel stuff.
Sure.
Right? I'm not saying they haven't, but they've also had the good fair share of bad stuff. Like for every one WandaVision, you got an Echo. For every one Ms. Marvel, which was fantastic, you've got a Secret Invasion. And if they can just limit now their quantity, focus more on the stuff they're going to put out, it's great. By the way, you brought up Kang. I don't know if you saw what Kevin Feige was saying about Kang.
Oh
recently.
yeah.
He actually mentioned, he said he went directly on set, and I felt very validated by this because remember I said before the Jonathan Majors drama ever happened, they had to have known Kang wasn't working. Remember I was saying even long before I said they had to have known Kang just simply wasn't working. Kevin Feige just said in an interview, he was saying, we were having discussions about replacing Kang before Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania even came out. He said we were just realizing it wasn't working the way we wanted it or the way we envisioned it working. And they were probably going to move away from Kang even if the Jonathan Majors drama didn't happen. I thought that was kind of interesting. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Kevin Feige is saying, number one, that they are drastically reducing the amount of Disney Plus stuff they're going to make, maybe down to 1 show a year, but also saying they're going to further the gap between what's going on in the TV shows and the movies. They're not going to be as interconnected as maybe a lot of people thought they would be when they first started the Disney Plus stuff. Is that wise? Is that, like we said before, a missed opportunity? Whatever you guys think about this, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.